Welcome to Bricks and Banter, the podcast that brings you the latest insights and advice on all things real estate.
Welcome back to Bricks and Banter. Today we are here with our second guest episode, and we have one of the best guest appearances I think we could do. So today we have our fearless leader at Remax Jazz and broker owner, Noel Coppins.
Hi, Noel.
Hi, guys.
How are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm thrilled to be here with two of my most favorite people on the planet.
Terrific.
Well, first of all, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Obviously, you've been one of the probably biggest supporters, I think, of probably both of our careers, but also this little endeavor that we've taken on.
Yes.
I am super proud of you guys, as you know, on many levels, not just as the business professionals that you are, but that you're breaking into some new ground, stretching yourselves to come into this podcast arena and killing it. We just absolutely love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see every episode, of course, except this one.
Yeah.
This will be the one that you probably judge the most out of.
I might just
Yes.
mute myself and not take a look.
So, as a broker owner, I'm going to ask a couple of questions just for people to get a little bit of a history behind Noel Coppins. How long have you been in real estate?
35 years as of March of 2024. So coming into my 35th year.
Wow.
I was 10.
10. That was.
I know you wanted to say it.
Miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat.
It was different age restrictions.
Yeah.
So it was 10 and up. Not 18 and up at all.
Good one, Dylan.
But that's not a dig, though. That's just an observation. Because it was only not that long ago.
Yeah. And how long have you been a broker owner?
So 15 years next year again. We're kind of in our 15th year, if you will, right now, because we opened in June of 2009.
Okay.
And that was our start. And so operating, we are in our 15th year now. So it's pretty exciting to see how the business has been built, how it has transitioned, weathered storms, come out ahead at all times, and just developed into the leadership company that it is.
Okay.
I'm just curious before we keep going here. Like when you got in the business originally, did you see yourself? Like, was this always a long-term goal that you thought?
No, heck no.
No? Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is if you'd asked Dave and I, even in 2008, even in the spring of 2009, had we ever wanted to own a brokerage, we would have both looked at you in horror and said, absolutely not. We don't want to be responsible for other families, for other lives. That's a heavy weight to carry. It's a lot of responsibility, and it was not on our radar ever. But a series of events occurred, and out of that came this opportunity where we felt that it was the right thing to do, and we both jumped into it wholeheartedly because that's how we work. We tend to, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right, and we're going to stick with it until we succeed. So however long that would take. And thankfully, because we were able to accrue such an amazing group of realtors, it took no time at all.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Very good. Very nice. So how many agents did you start out with in the brokerage when you took over or bought the brokerage?
48. When we opened the brokerage, we had 48 agents. We can't get over the loyalty that they showed us, knowing that we were as naive and new to this game as possible, knowing that we had built a great personal brand and a great personal real estate business, but absolutely, unvetted in the world of ownership. And that they all took a risk on us. And to this day, those 48 people are incredibly special to me, even though they're not all still in real estate. Some have retired, some have moved on. That 48 that they gave us their trust is the best word to use. With their careers, with their families, with their future, meant the world. And we still have, I think, about a dirty dozen left, about 12 or 15 left that are still with us from the original group. And we honor those people at our Founders Club every year.
That's pretty cool. So being a leader wasn't necessarily always on the radar. I mean, obviously being a real estate agent, you are your own entrepreneur. You're in business for yourself, but it is for yourself. Now you're responsible for how many agents?
Yeah, I think we're around the 125 mark.
Wow.
We've had as many as 175 in our company. We have grown, we have regressed, we've grown. This is the undulating sport of real estate. It's the revolving door. There are a lot of people that come in. There's a lot of people that stay. There's a lot of people that go, and so you get used to that revolving door. And I can say to your point about leadership. Did I think of myself as a leader? Absolutely
that
not.
was exactly my point.
Yeah, absolutely not. And you got to think too, back then, leadership training and even just a discussion on leadership wasn't really something that was in that motivational kind of self-employment, entrepreneurial arena. The term leadership wasn't a big part of that. I remember going to my first leadership conference and looking around. It was actually held at a church, and I remember looking around and thinking, I hope nobody knows me, because they're all going to say, what the heck is she doing here? Confession is Sundays, Noel. You're in the wrong room at the wrong time. So I kind of slunk into the back row, and kind of ducked down in the seat and wore dark sunglasses and a hat kind of thing. I didn't want anyone to see me and think, what the heck is she doing here? Yeah. And it's because the word leadership and being a leader is so misaligned and misunderstood in our world that part of my mantra, not mantra, but mandate, wrong M word. One of my mandates is to make sure that people understand leadership for what it really is about. We're all leaders.
Yes.
You're a leader in your home. Yeah. With your family, you're a leader with your.
Don't go there.
Okay, no. You're a leader with your peers. I'm looking at Dylan.
Personal today.
I'm looking at Dylan for a leader of his peers.
Yeah.
We all have a leadership muscle that we need to flex in different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that you have that capability, how to use it for the good of others.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it, that's what leadership's about. It's not about you. That's the interesting thing. That's why I say it's quite a misnomer, because it's about other people.
Yeah. And I only make that comment and that joke because you know my family quite well.
I do. Yes.
You know, if she's listening,
and I know
I am not the leader, right?
Yeah,
she will give me that title for a bit, but she will correct me when required and necessary.
And her and I laugh about this.
Yeah, you probably will.
It sounds to me like you know your place. That's all I'm saying.
Ow. Okay, wait. Oh, hey, look at that. 7 minutes in, and there's the first dig from Dylan. Nice.
Told you before.
All right,
That's
so
what it is.
On that leadership note, we have some questions for you.
We'd love to answer.
We're gonna put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you know, we're usually off the cuff. That's the idea here. Completely off the cuff. So we have a couple of questions we've prepared, but we'll try to take it easy on you, right? But as you know, it's all about leadership, and
I do control your paychecks.
Oh, there you go. Even if we're making the sales, you still have to sign them.
I do.
But no, leadership in general, right? Like I have a lot of, I want to say, leadership experience in my life from just playing sports and that kind of thing. So I understand a lot of times what it takes to kind of lead when times are tough and when things are going well, but I've never experienced it in any capacity like you have. So for me, I always find it very fascinating how you were always so cool and, calm head, and at least you appear to be, right? Because I know, whether it's sports or business or whatever, like, when you're in the middle of it, you have to be the steady head, right? Mm-hmm. Someone has to kind of keep that even keel, right?
True.
So Scott and I talked a bit about leadership, and we're just kind of curious from your side, what roles do mentorship and continuous learning play in leadership in general?
Oh, yes. Well, mentorship is a huge part of leadership. You can't lead really well without having those voices of wisdom in your own life. Everybody needs mentors for your lifelong journey. And I believe in a board of directors, if you will. You should have different people in different chairs on your board of directors. And those people are your mentors. They're the people you go to with, and you'll have different areas of your life that you'll have a kind of a specialist for, if you will. But they can all chime in and help you become the you that you want most to be. And the other part,
just learning, like just continuous learning in general, like always,
you can never stop learning in life. Mm-hmm. And the minute you stagnate, my belief system is the minute you stop learning, you're not in a stagnant position, you're actually retracting. there's either movement forward or movement backwards. There's very little in the world, in our universe, that is actually inert.
Yeah,
So I just believe that, if you're not growing, you're actually shrinking. So the wonderful thing is how much education is available at our fingertips.
yes.
When you think about it,
Mhm.
how easy it is, there's almost no excuse to not continue a life of learning and just reading and absorbing and sitting at the feet of great speakers, great writers, great presenters. It's critical to keeping, those 6 inches up here, straight.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you're leading, whether it's a little league soccer coach,
Yeah.
of toddlers, or at dinner with your family, or a big organization.
Yeah, see, that's the thing though, like that's leadership, right? Even if you are just coaching 5-year-old kids, like someone has to have that quality to take control of it and,
Yes.
run that show or whatever it is in whatever capacity, right?
And
Yeah, and I
inspire
guess,
them.
I guess
Yeah.
you can look at that from even at Little League. You get the teams that are a little bit better organized. They're a little bit, their orange slices are always on.
They're all symmetrical.
Yeah, they're all symmetrical, and the kids aren't just like this hive of kids chasing the ball around. That's probably a pretty basic demonstration of good leadership.
Yeah,
Is
most moms have it in
Yeah.
spades.
Yeah,
They do.
It's true.
yes,
They do.
yes.
They
Women
do.
women typically are better organized. At least in my household, that's the case.
You said it.
Because I can't. I've said this 100 times. I could not do what I do if it wasn't for my wife
Mhm.
and Denise running the house and organizing. So people see me as the front person out there with a sign, with whatever that is. That's not possible without her.
100%.
Right. So
Because
that's
I do know your life.
yes. Yes.
that's
And
right.
Really true words.
and it's interesting within the brokerage. We've talked about a lot of the things within the brokerage with regards to continuous learning.
Mhm.
And you very quietly run all sorts of things. I don't even think people realize the level of leadership that you yourself put in, because you said you need to surround yourself with your board of directors. And I find that as you talk about that, it stratifies into different layers because you had mentors.
Yes.
And I think of you as one of my mentors.
Thank
Right.
you.
So you're looking at those different levels, and the programs that you run and the things that you do within the brokerage. I always seem to find that the agents are quite engaged with what you do. Like your latest one is leading leaders.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
which
is,
I've always said our company is a leadership company masquerading as a real estate company.
Mhm.
Yes, we sell houses,
yes.
but my business people that occupy our brokerage, they could be selling anything. They choose to sell real estate,
Mhm.
but they're business operators. These are business leaders. They're business people. They have a community engagement. They are stakeholders. They want to impact for good the neighborhoods and our local demographic, or our local society, if you will. These are citizens that are engaged, right? They want to make things better. They want to build out a great life for their families. Obviously, that goes without saying. But they also want to give back, and they want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Okay.
And they believe in legacy. Those are all the components of leadership.
Yeah.
Because again, leadership always goes back to about being for others.
Yeah.
So,
Service
my-
above self type of thing.
service above self.
Yes.
And so, my exposure with leadership, I was asked to be in a group called the Day of Hope and Leadership Group for many years, where we spoke. We did a huge conference every year on leadership, and I was involved with that for many years. And it was a tremendous group of community leaders that I was exposed to and grew very close with, because we worked on a monthly basis together to prepare for our annual conference. So it wasn't something that was just thrown together. This is something that we dug really deep into the whole essence of what is a leader, what is leadership. And I mean, a couple of them are authors. They speak on around North America. They're these are movers and shakers, if you will. And you learn so much from those people, and you want to continue that study, and then you want to just naturally share, because if I found it inspiring, then I think my agents will find it inspiring, and so you have, and so we have this nice little crew that meet on Wednesdays that we discuss leadership. We study books and we discuss leadership.
Yeah, it's been a great group.
Thank
It's
you.
been a great group. So
Yeah, and like that, like I think we have to just open that up a little bit more. Like what Noelle is doing is, this is not just some little thing. Like she's been reading a book for us every week and then reporting to us. So
Yeah.
these are different books that are all, usually geared around leadership, but they're business, leadership. Some of them can be a bit more spiritual. Some of them can be a bit more, cold and to the point if they need to be. And I just think that's one of those things that, in the world of audiobooks, and when things are so readily available, but people still don't do it, when we have someone like you who not only is the leader, but is, doing it yourself and going through that much effort to summarize and take the time, it's, I always say you lead by example. And I just wanted to touch on that so people really understand the amount of effort that goes into that, because it's just a little extra, right?
It is. I know it's an, let's say it's not a typical slant. We're not just, reviewing how to do a listing presentation.
Yeah.
It does have some sales obviously sales content. But leadership is a holistic thing, right? So we want to make sure that there's a mental component, obviously emotional component, there's a physical component, there's obviously an income, financial component, there's a spiritual component. We're talking about the whole person, the whole life. And so, I've tried to
it's amazing.
have a lot of fun with it and bring to the table some phenomenal books that have, that are foundational to a leader, whether you're a CEO of a company or you're just starting out in real estate, whatever that leadership plan is for that life, that these books are being poured into, and the study is the important part. Reading is fine.
Yeah.
Reading is great. Don't ever get me wrong. I'm a reader, but when you study on purpose and get those nuggets out of it, I'm trying to fast track for our agents who are busy people and who gift me with an hour and a half of their time every week. That, and I don't take it lightly, because that is a serious gift they give me. And I thank you boys, because you're always on there with me.
Yes.
So, and I thank you for that. But that's because you are natural leaders. So
and I think that's another quality of a leader that we don't really talk about an awful lot, is their ability to share their insight, their wisdom, without any sort of compensation.
Or expectation.
Compensation is the first thing that jumped into my head.
Yeah, you're right.
But you'll find a lot of people that are very successful. They'll bring everything in close. I'm not going to share my ideas. I'm not going to share that. I'm going to keep this for myself. And I can't remember the book. It was 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And that ability to I'm gonna mess this up, but it's abundance. Abundance. If you're a successful person, there's abundance for everybody. When you start to pull everything in close, it's kind of like
scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
There's 2 mentalities: the abundance mentality and the scarcity mentality. And Stephen Covey covers it really well.
Thank you for correcting me on that. I appreciate that, and that's why you lead again. Makes the dream work. Hey, all on the same page. We need a bell. We need a bell.
So that's the glass half full and the glass half empty, the scarcity and abundance. Those are it's all the same story. There are people who have been hurt through life, and they have decided to put walls and barriers up, and they are going to hold on to everything that comes their way and not share because of fear. Fear is at the basis of all of that. The fear of lack, fear of poverty, fear of just not having enough. And there's a whole life of experiences that are usually behind someone who has that kind of mentality, right? And it's usually filled with sadness, because pain there, and so that fear that's where that fear is functioning, and is the scarcity. Some people can overcome that better than others. An abundance mentality, it says share and share fully, because there's no harm in doing that. There is more than enough to go around. We can all be happy and successful together. And it's far nicer to share than it is to hold. It feels good. We have that fulfillment factor ourselves. We're wired to share and make others feel good. It's
Mhm.
part of the human experience. So that's where the abundance mentality comes from. You know yourself, you guys do such great things in our community. You're both so invested and you're giving back with your time, your energy, your resources all the time. And why do you do that? Why would you do that? Because there's not an immediate there. Well,
That's
this
how
is
I think
it.
of it,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like-
it's not. There's not an immediate financial reward. There's not necessarily an immediate. There's not sometimes any ever financial reward. So
Mhm.
why do you do what you do? Well, you do what you do because it feels good. Because you're a good person and it feels right, and it fulfills you on a different level, and it expands you as a human.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's where that service above self comes from, it being
Yes.
in part of the Rotary. And we do have a lot of Rotarians within the organization itself, within Remax Jazz.
We do.
But it is that, and that's across the board for kind of any philanthropic work is, service above self. I'm not expecting something back in return from this. But if my community or my neighborhood or my street or my neighbor can benefit or can get a hand up, then that's my why.
It is.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
it
my
is.
why. So I do it. Which kind of leads me to my next question. And I'm going to look down and I'm going to read it as I hit the microphone, because I think if I miss a part of this,
You might screw it up.
it's not going to have the same, it's not going to have the same effect. So what key qualities or traits do you believe are essential for a successful leader in today's business environment?
Well, easy.
Okay.
So the number one thing is you need to be able to listen. And I mean listen. Hear the other person. There is so much noise out there. And we're all drowning in information and starving for wisdom,
Mhm.
And we can't help people. I don't care what you're selling, socks or gold or real estate, or you're in whatever industry you're in. You have to have a really great listening style, listening bone in your body. You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
need to listen really, really well to people. It shows that you can be trusted, that you care.
Mhm.
And I do believe that it's fundamental. And the second thing is you have to have what I call stickability. So stickability is my word. Stickability is my word.
Can you use that in a sentence, please?
Absolutely. Noel has a lot of stickability. So,
I need my sound effects.
right. So you can't give up. You have to pursue. You have to persevere. You have to be consistent.
Mhm.
There has to be a consistency of your behavior, because behavior never lies. So you have to be that same person again and again and again, and in every scenario of your life. That consistent integrity, that consistent code of values that you go by, that consistent way of treating a client, a customer, whoever, your underlings, your bosses.
Mhm.
So that consistent personality, but stickability, that persistence to keep on keeping on with what you believe in is key to success. So listening, consistency, and perseverance, or my word is stickability.
Yeah.
And I am the textbook example of someone who should not be successful. My first 2 years of real estate, I did not sell one house. It was the bomb and
Wow.
crash and burn of the century. And I remember, my father-in-law at the time, I would see him almost on the daily, and he would say to me every day I walk in the house, and he'd say, "Sell a house today, Noel." I was like, no.
Not today.
Not today again. Oh my gosh. And so I had a terrible, terrible start. And I should have given up, of course, but I don't have that ability. I have I'm going to do this until it kills me and be successful at it. And then if I want to give it up, I will. But I'm not going to ever give up until I make something successful of what I'm doing. So if that's a good point, I think it is. I think it's an important point.
Yeah.
Certainly, like I say to everyone that comes into our brokerage, especially when they're brand new, if I can make it, because of the persistence factor,
Yes.
you'll have it easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm glad you stuck with it.
Yeah, I'm glad I stuck
Because
with it.
I think I can say I'm a byproduct of your stickability, so which is quite nice. And in that, do you find within those traits,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that the younger people coming in express or have less or more of those qualities? Do you think the senior people that are in the industry have less or more? What's your take on that?
So I would say, Dylan, I'm so sorry because you are my young.
Let's go. Let's go.
And my firstborn over here. He's not my child. He's
Yeah.
I would adopt him in a heartbeat, and he knows that. The generation of 30-ish and under, they are a bit of an instant gratification group,
Yes.
and so stickability is harder for them.
Yeah.
But we have our overcomers who are amazing, and they're the ones that are killing it. So, it makes me super proud because I know that generationally, they're not the generation known for that persistent work ethic. That it's just, oh gosh, I sound like I'm putting them down, but they grew up with the computer. They
Mm-hmm.
grew up with everything being on demand and instant.
Mm-hmm.
They grew up with a microwave, for heaven's sakes. You know what I mean? Like everything is fast in their world. So they expect fast success.
Yeah.
So it's not their it's not their fault. It's the society they grew up in and that culture that has just impacted them in a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they struggle more with the persistence.
Okay.
But I would say that they're one of the most heartfelt group of people out there because they've grown up with way more tolerance, way more social understanding and acceptance and inclusivity. And I think that's so important that I think they're better listeners. Yeah. I do.
Okay.
So
we were busy
faster.
listening to you.
Yeah,
that was the gap. That was the gap there. We were busy listening.
They want it faster. Maybe they don't want to work as hard or go as long in the hard and painful stages.
Yeah.
But they're really empathetic.
Yeah.
And empathetic is one of the most beautiful things you can be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you find a lot of your young realtors that are here that are hired, and let's say that they're under. Let's say they're under 30 or under 35, whatever that cutoff is, it's irrelevant. Do you find that they have the qualities to be young leaders?
Mine do.
Okay.
I can't speak to others. But mine do.
So is that part of your process of being able to see that within someone as they're coming into the brokerage or the industry?
Oh, I would love to say that that's possible, but I can honestly tell you with the 15 years under our belts of doing this, that it's so impossible to know what someone's why is until you really get to know them.
Yeah.
So coming in and starting off a career, you have great hopes for them, and we put all their tools in their hand that they can, and we mentor and coach, and we do all that stuff. But I don't know their why yet.
Okay.
So I don't think. Yes, it's really hard on an initial meeting to say, they've got the it factor. Yeah. Because they can, absolutely, but there might be other factors in their lives that takes them right out of the game, and the next thing you know, they're hanging up their license and they're walking out the door.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like I just want to touch on, obviously, having that perspective, right? Is I just think that there's a lot of that quick fix mentality out there, and there's also a lot of options these days, right? So I think a lot of people kind of get into real estate, or they think about the idea of getting into real estate, they realize it's not as easy as they thought, and then as you said, going back to the why idea, like when I got in, I was young. I didn't really have a why. I don't have a family. I don't have all of these responsibilities. So I think that plays on it as well, as it's like you get in, you're motivated, you're hungry, you're going. But then if you don't have a lot of things, like for me, I always say, light a fire under yourself, buy a house so you have, some motivation. Yes. And if you don't have that and you're not having that initial success, it can be tough as a young person because you can go make money, selling these or this type of stock or, crypto this and, all these things that are out there now. I just think that part of our mentality growing up, like you said, is we have that in the back of the head a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, just a quicker fix.
So I have a question for you then, and I'm trying not to turn away from the microphone here because you mentioned something. I'm like, do you need every time you need motivation, do you go buy a house?
Oh yeah, I own at least 700 at least.
I'm just thinking of his mom and dad, who probably aren't really loving the fact that he said he doesn't have a family.
No, but you know what I mean.
You don't have dependents.
Yes.
Trust me, they'll be dependent one day too.
You're going to have both ends of the spectrum one day.
Sandwich.
but even then, right? Take that on the parallel of like the brokerage side for you, right? Like going from the responsibilities of an agent to an owner,
Yes.
as opposed to having like just a family and
Well,
you're a kid.
my family became
Right?
absolutely massive. We have a very
There
small
you go.
family, and my family became very massive the minute
Yeah.
we took on Remax Jazz. However, we signed up for that. We knew that we would be running it as a family business with family components to it. And it sounds corny and cheesy and all that stuff, but it is the real freaking deal here. We operate as a family, and we really care about our people. I know my agent's kids' names. I'm known as Grandma Nono around the office now, which is kind of super cool. I know the dogs. I know, the dogs are welcome into our buildings. We love it. Like, we're a family here. And that's why our awards nights are family oriented. We have the whole family come. We want everyone in the family to see and recognize their family member that's in real estate, that what they've worked to attain, and that they also share in that moment, because they do share in that moment. They are the support system at home, as you opened with Denise.
Yeah.
So,
No, very
you
much
can't
so.
be successful,
Yeah,
and you
very
are
much so.
hugely successful. You can't be that successful person without that tremendous support system at home.
Yeah.
So we always want to honor that. And so family is very, very important. And it is a motivator, absolutely. When I was 21, I didn't have a family either, right? So I get it. All right, car payment, that was pretty bad.
Curious to know what that car payment was.
It was killer. But it was a 1987 Corvette payment, so it wasn't pleasant.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was $900, $900 and some dollars a month.
Whoa. Okay, hit the pause button here for a second.
There you
Hit
go.
the pause button. 1987.
1987 Corvette convertible in a beautiful blue with a white
Ooh.
top. She was pretty.
Oh my
Oh,
Lord.
She was lovely, and I had to pay for her.
Okay, I'm dialing back here to 1987 in my mind. You can see the wheels turning and the smoke coming out. Yeah, I'm going back to 1987. Ford Tempo, 4-door, white, blandest car ever was mine, and I could barely choke back a $310 car payment in 1987, maybe a little bit after that. But are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm not saying it was a wise move.
Wow.
Was
Holy.
that before you didn't sell anything? Or?
That's
really lighting a fire.
Okay, I wasn't going there, Dylan.
that carried into the real estate.
I was going to say, that's how you light a fire.
No, that was a purchase right out of the showroom.
Wow.
Anyways, yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
And it was. I mean, 20 years old. It was fun.
What was your insurance like? I'm just
I
curious.
don't want to know.
Okay, never mind. Move on.
Back to leadership.
back to leadership, but I'm going to throw it back over to Dylan because I think he's got a good question for you.
So, do you have your own personal philosophy on leadership? Like, I know we're talking about it. We're going to say the same things, in and out. But is there kind of a gold standard that you live by, or
Yeah,
personal
there
and
is.
business?
Yeah, there is. So I think the most impactful thing for me on a very personal level, of course, is my spiritual relationship with God. And I don't know if you're allowed to go there on this podcast or
it's
what.
unscripted and
Yeah.
it's
Okay,
totally
so-
open. So there you go.
Yeah. So
We're good.
the servant leadership, the model that Jesus gave us, the model that, if you want, in a business book, John Maxwell shows us in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and the huge library of books that he has written on leadership. He really explains super well what the heart of a servant leader, the heart of leadership is.
Mhm.
And I just believe that we are put on this earth to improve the lives of others. And that is our legacy. We don't get to take anything away with us when we go.
Yeah.
The thing that we get to leave behind is the impact that we have on people's lives. And
Yeah.
hopefully the fingerprint that I leave on some hearts behind me will stay.
Oh, I'm certain that it will.
So, and that's, again, people don't know me, so this could sound ridiculous, but you asked a very difficult question.
Yeah,
That is
it's a big question. so you could
that
take
is my very deep answer.
Yeah.
And so the servant leadership style is what we have modeled the company after, what I model my life after, is what you can do for others.
Yeah, and I think it's not like someone needs to know you I think it's very obvious to see that it comes through, right? Like just the way that you're selfless I think you're very selfless in the way that you carry yourself in general, right? Like you're always just open to, like just like Scott said earlier, I would, we're always thinking while we're having these conversations, right? And just when we were talking about, mentorship a little bit earlier, and you talked about the board of directors, same thing like Scott, my head is going off as well. I'm seeing you as one role. I'm seeing Dave as another. Like I'm seeing all these people aligning in my life, right? So,
That's right.
For me, for you, it's just leading by example, I think at all times.
And I think the leadership comes from, and the board of directors comes from everybody. And that's the one thing that I've learned in my time in this industry is that, and that's where I was going with that young leaders type of thing question, was that the leadership can come from someone that's your junior.
Oh, 100%.
Or your senior in whatever capacity, because I think you have created is an environment of sharing. You're
safe.
Exactly. Right. Like I can take leadership from Nicole, right? Because I'm extremely disorganized. So she keeps us disorganized. And last week we mentioned that, yes, they're a godsend in keeping us organized. Dylan brings a different, I'll say, business acumen to what I would do.
Right.
So there's a leadership quality in Dylan in that. But, one of my very first leaders in the industry that terrified me was Gary Clark. Right. And
Gary scared all of us a little bit.
Yeah.
I was scared of Gary when he worked for me.
Yeah.
As my manager.
But there's one of those people that is, I think my real estate career is vastly different without him.
Gary held us to a phenomenal standard.
Mm-hmm.
You never wanted to let Gary down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is when you step into, when a person steps into their leadership and they recognize here's an area that I can lead in. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're there, you're not going there on purpose. You're just suddenly there. And you're like, here I am kind of put into this position of leadership. Do I have what it takes? Can I do this? It's humbling. And you quickly, your ego, your pride, all that stuff has to take a back seat because you're responsible now for these other people. And so it makes you a better person, if you will. I think I am a better person than I would have been if not pushed into this role, because it has forced me to look at my behaviors and my attitudes and all that stuff and realize there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to get thrown out because I can't do what I need to do for people being me focused or being selfish or petty or whatever. Gary holds and held us to that account. And it was a funny story. I remember something came up and someone said to me, well, you can decide that. And I said, no, I can't. I have to go ask Gary. And they said, well, Gary works for you. He's the manager of the company, but he works for you. You're the owner. I said, no, you have that wrong. I own the company. Yes. I work for Gary.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Chain of command.
Chain of command. I go to Gary.
Yeah.
So.
It's recognizing that in there. And it's something that I learned quite early on in this industry is that you can learn a lot from people that are younger. And that was a big mindset shift for me.
It is.
Right. Because I always thought that you used to have to go to that next level. Yeah. It was, sorry, I was going to run out of steps there.
Now we can just meet in the middle.
Yeah. I always thought that, you went to your senior person. You went to, because maybe it was something I carried through from when I was younger, and it was a much different time in doing business, was that you didn't do anything unless you talked to the manager, and the manager had to talk to the owner, and then the owner made the decision, and then talked to the manager, and then the manager came back to you and everybody else. I look at this environment and I've been in a pickle or I've been in a thing or Gary's not there. Mm-hmm. And Dave's made himself available. Yeah. Or, if nobody's available, I've gone to one of the other agents to ask a question saying, look, I just need to vet this to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And in this environment, we've always had it. And it doesn't matter if it's I'm going to throw out some names here. It's a Bill Shackleton, mm-hmm. right? Who's to go and get some information from or some insight from, or someone like Sheila, who would be my equivalent at mm-hmm. the time, or, someone that was new to the industry. What am I doing wrong here? What am I doing? Talking to Dylan about, some of the social media stuffs, right? Yeah. And even in preparation today, we come in and we do stuff and I'm like, I'm focused. I have all these questions done. I got to have all that other stuff. And I give it to Dylan and he'll make a point and it's like, ew, didn't think of that, right? Because I'm such, and if you're in the old mindset I used to be in, you wouldn't even give, and no disrespect, but you wouldn't give that.
And I'll tell you why I think that is. we always assume leadership comes with a title.
Mhm.
You know, we tend to fall to that. You know, well, they've got the title on the door. You know, it's the manager, it's the owner, it's the whatever, supervisor or whatever that CEO title is, and so therefore leader. And they are not the case. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
A leader is someone who leads, title or no title, right? If there's someone who brings something to the table that others are better because of it. And I agree with you. Some of our young people, I learn it from every single day. And I love that some of our young people here at our company who, you know, are very individual, and they're breaking stereotypes every single day. And I love that because, you know, in our industry and just in business in general, the last thing you can do is judge a book by its cover. You know, have a 5-second conversation first, you know, or maybe a little longer than 5 seconds. But, you know, like you talk to some of my young people in this company, and, you know, they are young, absolutely. But wow, are they smart?
Yeah.
And wow, are they savvy?
Yeah.
You know, and they know how to pivot. They are nimble. They are so tech based.
Yeah.
But they're on the pulse. Like, they've got it figured out, and it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So they're teaching us dinosaurs, which is awesome. And wisdom, we want to defer to wisdom, absolutely, but let's never sacrifice ingenuity. Yeah. And ingenuity is Dylan. Ingenuity is young. It's youth.
Yeah.
And let's never forget the energy component.
Yeah. Because,
you know, at my age, you know, your energy is at a totally different level than at the age of someone like Dylan, who is full of enthusiasm. No, you know,
most days.
They're full of enthusiasm, full of ability, and that energy, you know, it speaks to people, and it's you know, it always is extremely transferable. You know, so you can. I think, you know, it's such a cool group in here because we do have this gamut of age. I think our oldest agent, he just retired at just over 80. Bill Roca, he just retired after, and I'm sure.
Oh, Bill retired?
He retired.
I was not aware of that.
And it was just over 80, and I think his career spanned at least 50 years.
Wow.
You know, to our new people coming in who are in their early 20s. Yeah. And, you know, like Dylan was how old? 22 when he came in. Yeah. I was 21. Dave was 21. We were young.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not saying we're.
How old I was when I came in the industry.
I was so young, and I looked so young that I got glasses that just had clear glass in them. Yeah. Just to try and make myself look a little bit older. Obviously, didn't work for the first couple of years of the business. Nobody was buying that.
So I'm going to share a neat little story because I've never shared this publicly.
Ooh.
But
this is the place for it.
This is the place. No, interesting. Actually, no, there's components of it that are public out there. So my son, everybody knows my son's coming into the industry, Ethan, and he's also 21, which seems to be a theme right here. And my concern for him was that, and I won't tell the long story. My concern with him was he's very black and white personality. Is he going to have the leadership skills? Is he going to have this? Is he going to have, you know, the interpersonal skills? Is he going to be, you know, all these sorts of questions. And Dylan invited me to Remax Activate in Quebec City in October of last year. So I said, okay, I want to go. I want to take Ethan with me. So I kind of bent the rules a little bit, skirted them. And I took Ethan with me. And lo and behold, I didn't know it when I was there at the time, but actually, no, I'm not even going to say that because I'm going to get a hold of, like, I'm going to get 600 agents that call me back and say, jerk. Anyways, let's just say I got a little bit sick when I was there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Dylan texts me and says, we're going out. And I'm like, whatever, Ethan, they're going out. And I held up my phone. I'm like, go and meet them in the lobby. I'm going to bed. That's it. I was done. I was out. And all I said.
We all know what really happened.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done here. And my last words were him keep a low profile. Low profile. Went back to sleep, left, woke up later, like early in the morning, and it was like 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh God, they're still not back. This is not good. Figuring out A, how to call my wife and tell her I lost the kid, and B, do I need to go out and find them? Anyways, we come back, we're having breakfast. I'm going to condense it down. I said, so how was it last night? He goes, oh, it was really cool. We had a great time. We went here, we went there, and had a lot of fun. I met this person, I met that person, and it's just full of energy. I met this guy, and his name was Nick, and we had a great time and a great conversation. And I'm like, Nick, why specifically Nick? And I'm like, okay, like who would that be? And he goes, him, Nick, the guy at the conference, our CEO. Our CEO has a low profile.
And CEO International. That's not just the
Yeah.
Canadian CEO. That's of all Remax. That's the biggest job you get.
Dad, we're friends on Instagram. I'm like,
I'm pretty sure he followed him back, actually.
oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there going, low profile. And about 5 minutes after I was kind of annoyed with him, I realized, I'm not going to have any problems. He's not going to have any problems. He's going to be just fine.
I've known Ethan since he was 4 years old.
Yeah.
We all know this, and I consider him my nephew. And, I have so much confidence in this young man coming into our business.
Yeah.
I have no doubt at all that Nick Bailey saw exactly what I see in Ethan, which is the star of the future.
Yeah.
This is a very special young man, and he's got all his best characteristics from his dad and his mother, and with a work ethic that I think will put other people to shame. So, but he's going to astound, and there's no question. So we're super excited about him coming in, second generation too, which is super cool.
It is very, very cool.
I will probably see Nick Bailey this fall at some point, and I'm sure he'll mention to me, so how's that Ethan Roy doing?
No, it was pretty cool. And as a dad, you want to get mad, right? Because you didn't listen to my instructions and didn't follow what I told you.
He's a leader,
yes.
Scott.
Yes, he is.
He's a leader.
And see, that's kind of what I was going to say. Is just I think it was such a great idea that you brought him there. But just for him, like I try to put myself. It's cool now that I'm a little bit older now. I'll say I when I see Ethan, I talk to him a lot. I kind of put myself in his shoes, and I always think back to when I was first getting in, I was 21 because I was even younger than 22 at first. I was kind of around the real estate world. So I just think that event and that experience shows a lot of how he will do in this business because he wasn't scared to go to talk to people, right?
And I would have been I never would have. I would have looked at the CEO of a company.
Yeah, but I don't think he knew it was him at that point.
How late was that?
Yeah,
don't say it.
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure with Ethan's personality that would have made a difference.
Yeah, but see, that's the point. It's just like going back to me saying, putting myself in his shoes, like I don't know if I would have been as open to just meeting and like just throwing myself into it because you got to remember too, right? I was like Ethan was just kind of tagging around with me for most of the night, but slowly, he was also getting his own friends. It wasn't just like we were, he was holding my hand all night. He was very much, I would go chat to one group. He would be, I'm going to go chat to those guys. And like, that's awesome for somebody who's not even licensed.
I think, he's grown up in the business though. Like he's, for the last...
Well, one of his best friend's parents owned a brokerage, so
that's why you got in.
Yes, and twisted his dad's arm to come into the business.
Yeah. My first answer to Dave was no. What do you mean? I've got this nice corporate job with a car allowance.
This a little bit. Yes, you had this nice corporate job. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Dave has never recruited somebody that wasn't in the school, like pursuing real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely never. You're the only one that he's ever had that where he said,
really,
we have to get Sky into this business.
Really?
There you go.
Okay.
You're it.
14 years later.
After all.
Yeah. Because
ding. You got to get a bell.
It's not a conversation you have with people like, oh, by the way, I think it'd be really great with your young family and your mortgage that you should, leave your job and your company car and your weeks of vacation and come on in with us and play in an arena that has no ceiling. Also, no net.
No floor.
Talking about that one. It's a big point. Right?
And it was very funny when I left because I think I did double duty for a little bit.
You did.
I did double duty. I was
Just a
trying
small- it
to I was
like
trying to
6
keep my
months
job,
maybe.
and it was the
Yeah.
fear, and it was my paralysis by analysis type of
No,
thing
you
that I
don't
have in that
that.
in me.
Stop.
No. Yeah, nobody knows about it.
No.
It's just telling
Just
everybody for
frozen
the
in
first
place.
time. I remember that drive back along the 401, and I got off at Simcoe Street in Oshawa here. I'm like, what the did I just do?
Mhm.
Right?
Where am I?
3 kids, mortgage, just moved.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, not just moved. It
Right.
was about 3
Couple
years.
years,
It was
yeah.
just moved. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? And Dave said to me, when I came back into the office, Dave said to me, he goes, you're never going to be successful until you quit that other job.
And that is
And I
true.
doubted him, and I doubted him, and I doubted him, and I doubted him. And then the day I quit, it was a little bit of that fear, right? It was all of a sudden, it was like, okay, well, smart guy, Dave, now what do I do? He goes, get out and work. And that was just it. Like, it's a
Find your
very
people.
simple, and Dave, I find, is very concise on that sort of stuff, right? There's not a lot of, we could never have him on the podcast.
It's too good.
Podcast would be like, podcast would be like
Oh,
5
wait,
minutes.
how did that? I can take that.
No, the podcast would be like 5 minutes. It'd be like,
Yeah, he's
okay,
very
Yeah, Julie, you just all the answers, like.
just go and do it.
Yeah.
Right? And make it happen.
But that's
Why are you still sitting here talking to me? Right?
pretty much, yeah.
But
He's
that was just,
very cut and dry, because really, we fluff up a lot of stuff that's just, the
Yeah.
bare bones of it is do this, and this, and you'll be successul.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to make it a little bit fluffier and more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah.
We have to get out of our own way, and
Yeah.
that we all discuss that on the
Yeah.
regular, getting out of your own way. So you went out, you got out of your own way, and look what happened.
yeah, I did. I went out and
Yeah.
I did
did what you
all
needed to do.
the things I never would have done
Mhm.
in my old job, in my old headspace. One was fear, and one was Dave just saying, just go and do it.
Mhm.
What's someone going to say?
Go talk to some people.
No?
Yeah.
No. Okay. We'll
We're
keep
in the
talking to people. Someone says
solutions
yes.
business, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you go out, you solve problems every day. Well, that's
Yeah.
what you did in your previous career, and you did it phenomenally well. You just
Mhm.
weren't, you weren't in control
Yeah.
of your career. You were, always subject
Yeah.
to other parties. And
Yeah.
it was time for you to be able to be that solutions oriented leader
Yeah.
for yourself, to give that same skill set to the public, where they could take advantage of, all of that help that you give people, and direct with you. So
Yeah.
no middlemen, no hierarchy, just
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And so that's why you've been so good, because you are so solutions oriented.
Yeah, and it's the lack of, I'll say, micromanagement
Hmm.
that allows you to maybe spread your wings a little bit more, maybe fail a little bit more too.
Well,
Right?
again, like you
Could-
said,
because
no ceiling and
no
no
floor.
floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a book, and it was, I forgot his name, and it was funny on that drive from Warden in the 401 to Simcoe in the 401. Paul McCabe, sorry, it just came to me.
Oh, good work.
Paul McCabe, I called him because he was a really good mentor for us at one point. And I said to him, I said, Paul, I just quit my job. He goes, what are you doing? So I'm going into real estate. And I said, I think I might have just messed up. And he goes, unless you take a leap, he goes, a safety net will always present itself.
Mhm.
And my safety net was Dave telling me, go work.
Yeah, give
Go-
me the tools.
Go
Yeah,
work,
you're supporting you, right?
right? It wasn't elaborate, but that was my safety net.
Mhm.
Like, go work.
Because the numbers will always,
Yeah.
when you talk to enough people,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to find people that you can help.
Yeah.
And those people that you help are going to be so grateful
Yeah.
that they're going to tell other people that you can help. And that's how you build your business.
Yeah. Can I share one more story before we jump on to the next
Go on.
question? So Dave always told me, this is another Dave story. Dave always told me that when you're talking to people, don't make it the first thing, but make it part of your conversation, that this is what you do. Let people know what you do. You're in business for yourself,
Mhm.
right? So I got the branded jackets, I got everything else. And, I was out there and I was a walking billboard for Remax Jazz and myself and my business. And I remember being at a Chapters bookstore when I was still trying to pull double duty. And I talked to this lady and she goes, oh, that's a nice jacket. And I said, oh yeah. I said, it's my real estate jacket. Right. And I was like, oh, I kind of messed that up. And she goes, oh, you're in real estate. And I said, yep, I'm in real estate. And I said, this is my card. And she goes, oh, well, let me write my number down on your card and I'll give it back to you. I was like, oh my gosh.
This is easy.
Like, this is
She
easy.
wanted a date.
No,
Exactly.
she was pretty,
Wait a minute.
okay,
I'm sorry.
maybe in hindsight, maybe I should have looked carefully.
Yeah.
So I gave her my card, wrote the number down, and I drove back somewhere else and I told Dave and I said, someone gave me their number who wants to talk about real estate. He goes, that's great. And I had it on this card. So I go, this is a couple days later, I don't know where I am, and I've got the card with me. And someone says, oh, you're in real estate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in real estate. I said, here's my card. And I gave them a business card. And we chatted about it. We talked about it. And I got back in the car and I'm driving back home. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Did I just take the card that someone wrote their number down who wanted me to call them about real estate and gave it to somebody else?
Okay, and to be clear, I just want everyone to know that when you start in real estate at my company, we do provide you with more than one business card.
Yeah.
You actually get more than one.
It's not reusable. You know?
There's not dry erase on there.
But it was one of those things. I was just so excited. It was like 1 week, 2 people want to touch. I couldn't get that card out of my hand fast enough.
Well, you sure did.
Yeah. And
Did you ever even try to get it back? Like, did you have that person's number that you gave it to?
they were long gone.
Ah,
Trust me, I next intersection doubled back. They were gone.
so it was a seller that you met in the store, and then there was a buyer you need your card to. They did a private deal. You got nothing.
Pretty much.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and I didn't have a buyer rep agreement signed, so I got nothing.
You'll learn today.
So that's my funny story. So, anyways, I've got one more question that I would like to ask, and I've got to look down again. Not scripted, but I got to look down again.
Look down.
So it's the habits. So what habits do you think successful leaders have in common or demonstrate on a daily basis? Leaders, a pattern reveals itself.
It
So
well,
I'm just,
I live by the words that behavior doesn't lie.
and one of my questions to it is because I've always been told this for years and years and years, and it's never worked for me. The early bird gets the worm.
Oh, I was going to go there too. That's funny.
Right.
Because, if you take a look at most leaders, and so you're the exception to the rule,
Okay.
but most leaders do start their day very early. And it's because there's just so much that can get done before the actual start of work day.
Mhm.
And you can be so prepared. So I would say, so to that point, yes, the early bird gets the worm, 100%. But if you're just getting up in the morning and you're just kind of dawdling through your morning and you're not being productive. So we're going to say productivity. Let's just say that they make very, very effective use of their time.
Mhm.
They're strategic in their mindset. So there isn't a lot of room for fluff. So you wonder why Dave is the way he is. Dave is the way he is because there is so much stuff to get through in a day.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't the day isn't long enough. And we always say, God didn't give us more than 24 hours. Wish he had. I wish we had like 36 hours in each given day,
Mm-hmm.
because then we could actually get stuff done.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that one of the most important behaviors that we see in leadership of successful leaders is that they're incredibly strategic and effective with their time.
Mm-hmm.
So while they will give you their time and generously, that time is almost pre-allotted.
Mm-hmm.
They know they're going to give that time, and they have factored it in to the rest of their day or the rest of their week. They know what they're doing pretty much every hour of the day. They don't fly by the seat of their pants. Leadership can't survive with that mentality. They are really opposed. You absolutely have to have a plan each day, each week, each month, each year. And I'm not talking about goals, because that's a whole other conversation. I'm just talking about being effective with your time, your time management.
Yeah.
So their time management skills are incredible. And that's what I can say when I look at the top leaders of our industry, just the people that have been here at my company. There's so many different personalities, so many different styles of selling and what they're selling, from
Mm-hmm.
commercial to residential and specialty in residential and residential investment property. And, we've got all these very special categories, with different, very, very effective leaders in each. And so what is that, defining thing across the board? It's different personalities, different areas of speciality. What is that defining thing? And I'm going to say effectiveness. Very, very effective time management, very strategic. There is no spitballing or fly by the seat of their pants, because it's so, as they say, like diametrically opposed to true long-term success. And it will show up.
Yeah.
It will show up. You can't squander your time.
Yeah.
So, that's number one.
Okay.
That would be the number one thing, I think.
Yeah, I think time management is so important in this business,
Critical.
right? Like overall in life, but in this business especially, like it's.
Well, there's just so many things the distractions in society.
Yeah.
And so it's knowing how to delegate as well. So I could go down that rabbit hole of whatever that thing is. Let's use social media as an example. I could go down that rabbit hole and try and figure it out and dive in there and get lost in Instagram and cute poodle videos and all that stuff. I'm speaking of myself. I love the little crazy dog videos that make me giggle.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you can go diving in there, or you can delegate that out to someone who knows what they're doing, the specialist.
Yeah.
And hire that person to do that for you, so that frees up your time for your skill set that is best. And both of you know your particular skill sets. Both of you are in your face-to-face communication with people.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where you're the strength. That's why you're both so successful, is because you got these tremendous people skills. So we don't waste you going down paperwork trails or doing the accounting side. My God, if you had to do the accounting side, it might not be pretty. So
You would be gone.
Yeah. I'd be unemployed.
You might be.
Let's not beat around the bush about it.
But you know what I mean?
Unemployment line's over there, son.
There's so many elements in our business, the staging, the all that stuff, that have to be delegated so that you can do what you are in your wheelhouse best at and have the most effect in, right? So,
Terrific.
that's leadership, right?
Excellent.
Knowing you're playing to your strengths and using your time wisely.
Yeah, and like Scott and I talked about that quite a bit, because as we may have similar skill sets, there's also things that we're either better or worse at, depending on how you look at it, right?
Totally.
So even when we go back to just getting advice from each other sometimes, and whether it's a more senior agent or a younger or older, whatever, it's important to kind of know what you're good and not so good at, right? Because I think that for me, as you were talking, I'm thinking about growing and how can you get to the next level if you're always doing everything yourself, right? And it's important. Like, you don't want to be bogging yourself down with those tasks.
Well,
right?
and especially when you know that you can identify them as weak areas for you. Like financially, like if I had to run the books, my goodness, we would have been out of business and bankrupt years ago, because I am not that person. That is not my skill set. And so like with you guys, this space, this podcast space, you're so good. This is playing to all of your strengths. And this is why I love you in this space. And I believe you belong here. I think you're going to have a great following, because it is absolutely playing to everything that you're good at. So it's recognizing, okay, my weaknesses, if I work hard at my weaknesses, are they going to get better? Yes. But is it worth my energy? Absolutely not. Yeah. Acknowledge the weakness, delegate it out, play to your strengths, and strengthen your strengths, which is what you guys do.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a strength to notice where you don't have strength.
But it is
that self-awareness.
It's
piece,
the mindful self-awareness piece.
Yeah, because I think you see people that keep chasing the same things, and that's someone that's just not self-aware enough to know that, hey, I'm not good at this. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at paperwork, and thank God for Leanne and Nicole, because they keep me on track. So,
I feel like we could go on for hours about there's so many different examples in this business, right?
Yeah.
And all the different ways to get, lead generation, all these things, right?
Yes.
But,
but know what you're good at.
Yeah. And, I want to kind of pivot it now. I want a little transition. So it's still leadership, but I want to go back to we were talking about the whole time, but more selfless. I want to talk about WeMax Children's Charity.
You're speaking to my heart then.
So I don't want to do it a injustice by going too in depth, but Noel has created a children's charity that really benefits our local community. So I'd like to let you take it away on that.
Thank you very much.
It is so impressive.
Baby.
No, it is so
baby.
amazing. And
the backstory of WeMax. I wanted to do this when we were just agents. and I couldn't figure out a way for Dave and I to do anything that was really impactful and to be able to do this. So when we opened the company, I was like, aha,
This
I
works.
can finally do this.
Yeah.
And I just, it's not, the world didn't need another charity. So we didn't, while it's called WeMax Children's Charities, the point is that's why it says charities in it. We support existing children's charities, as you know.
Yep.
There are so many incredible needs out there and incredibly well-run organizations. The last thing we need to do was invent another one. What we need to do is support these phenomenal endeavors that are already there.
Yeah.
So our incredible agents, like, oh my goodness, like the generosity, like,
Amazing.
oh my gosh. So we're just shy of about 500,000 right now.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
amazing. I didn't realize it was that high.
But that is what we have given, our agents have given. So every transaction carries a donation back to the charity of choice that we have for that pledge that we've given. So we take, so right now we're with Their Opportunity, which is a beautiful grassroots organization that puts kids in sports and has a kind of a pay it forward component where the kid that has had this advantage now has to give it forward to the next child. They have to invest into that next child. And so it takes your identified youth and gets them, maybe off the street or out of areas where they could start to slide into some bad behaviors, and gives them the opportunity to go into sport or rec that they want to do, puts the right equipment on them, puts them at the right exposure, exposes them to the right group of people, and all of a sudden we're developing leaders of the future. And so we have, because of what us working with Their Opportunity, I think we put about 10,000 kids through sport here in Durham Region, which is
It's amazing.
It's incredible. So, and that's
Wow.
just one piece. Of course, we started with the hospital, with Lake Ridge Health Oshawa, putting new life-saving equipment into their NICU unit. So we did a $150,000 pledge to them. We're able to buy new giraffe warmers, heart monitors, all of that great equipment that was first of all,
they needed it.
It was a necessity. But what it enabled by buying new equipment, it enabled that some of their older equipment could get refurbished and go out to some of the ancillary hospitals. So the other hospitals were benefited from our generosity. And, we always said that we want to not just write a check. We want to actually, see equipment. We want to see things. I want to have my agents touch and feel what we've done, and not just write a check to a foundation and, nothing. Please don't anyone take this the wrong way. But I really wanted to see the money in purpose, in use, and not just maybe administratively, put into a pool that then gets, resourced.
Yeah.
So it was just really important for me, and my agents shared my passion for this, to bring real stuff to the table.
So did you get good buy-in from the agents when you introduced
Phenomenal.
this? You did?
So phenomenal. Okay. So we started in 2014, and when I presented to our agents at the first meeting, we were at the Oshawa Little Theater at the Oshawa Golf Club in the banquet hall, and I'm spilling my guts out, my heart out at the front of the room. And I look around when I finally kind of came up for air, and there are people wiping tears away because I touched their heart that deeply, because they want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. We all want that. It's human nature to want that. Can we leave some kind of impact on the world bigger because we did it together? And little bits of money, when it's all cumulative, that compound effect that I'm always preaching on, the book by Darren Hardy, my favorite book, but it's totally how it works. Yeah. And so that compound effect. So compounding, then we moved on to Hearth Place Cancer Support Center, which is the only support center of its kind for cancer patients, but as well as their families. The only one of its kind from Toronto to Montreal is right here in Oshawa. Oh. And we service about 4,000 families a year that walk through our doors. And I've sat on the board of directors for 7 years, and I wanted to support our new build. So we were doing an expansion of the center, and we were able to move the children's room from the basement, a low ceiling, dark basement, no windows, up to this incredible space on the main floor. You guys paid to outfit it completely, audio visual, state of the art, this gorgeous big space where children who are dealing with cancer or even dealing with a family member with cancer can go and get the support and some of the, have some outlets, some therapy, have some, just community with other kids battling the same thing. And so the space, as you know, is incredible. And you guys funded all of that. So that was another $150,000. And now finishing up with their opportunity, this $150,000 will be done probably by the end of the year. Oh. And my hope is to return to Lakeridge Health because there's a strong need there. And we go back and we kind of finish what we started, which was buying life-saving equipment for the NICU. Wow. So it's very close to my heart. It's the thing I am most proud of next to my two sons. Yeah. It blows my mind all the time how incredible this group of agents are here at our company. Yeah. They are the best people on the planet. Yeah. Bar none. Wow. End of story. Mic drop.
There you go.
End it now.
Hit the record button. Stop. We're done. We're out. Sign off.
Yeah. So that is Remax Children's Charities.
That is absolutely wonderful. And that is just in case anybody missed that as we were talking about it, it's called Remax Children's Charities.
Yeah. And exclusive to Remax Jazz. And it is only our agents that give. We don't go out, we don't ask for the public to bring in donations, or it's our agents giving, because there is something about what it does for a person when they themselves give. It's one thing to go out and me ask you to give. Yeah. But when I give myself of my time, my money, my energy, my resources, and I put that investment in, it does something to me. Yeah. It changes me. Yeah. And you become a better human. Yeah. And, it builds, guess what it builds? Oh, let's guess. Yeah, leadership. It might just build some leadership. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Touching on your point there, how we've talked about the team at the brokerage and all these things, just the way that you've streamlined that, for us as agents, I think that's also a really big piece too, because, the maybe not the exact same feeling that you're, talking about there that we get, but even for me, right, since day one, I've just always, I do feel like that, but just not at the same level. I feel like I am involved, even though I'm not the one that set it up. Every time I do a deal, I know that a little bit is going to help, right? It's huge. It kind of fosters that culture we have here, right?
It does. And when when we've got agents who've had children who've had to be in the NICU unit, they're in one of the machines that has our plaque on the front of it that says Remax Jazz. Their kids are staying in one of the rooms in the peds wing, that has our plaque on it. Yeah. And that's, that touches them even more deeply because they know that they're, my goodness, that's something that they've actually been part of. Wow. And I just think it develops all the very best in people when you give.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that was just kind of my second fold to that, was just the local side of it, right? People at our brokerage, but just knowing that, being a part of this is truly benefiting your local community, and not, as you said, not to take anything away from it. Its charity is great regardless, right?
Sick Kids is the most wonderful hospital in the world. Yeah. But they deal with 1%, of the problems. It's there's so many phenomenal big hospitals and big charity endeavors that are just gold standard. Yeah. They're amazing. I wanted to do something local because I wanted my agents to know that, that neighbor down the street with the child, you did that. Yeah. I wanted my agents to feel that, and they have. Yeah. And that's a huge deal for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's across the region, and it stays here. And I love the fact that it's specific to children.
And no administrative fees. Exactly. Every penny goes to the charity. There's nothing administratively taken off. There's no marketing fund or overhead cost or anything like that. So dollar for dollar, penny for penny, however you want to look at it, that's 100% goes where it's supposed to go.
That's amazing.
And I think it's really important. We get invited to lots of galas and these fundraisers, and they're all great. Please don't get me wrong. They're wonderful. For the price of the ticket, I got to buy a dress. and I got to go get my hair done, you know, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
hate getting my hair done.
It's time management, right?
Yeah, time
time
management.
and it's a wonderful evening, and it makes you feel good. Yes, it makes you feel good. But when you know what's coming off of that, you know, and that the portion that's actually going to the help that is needed is such a smaller portion than what all of that fluff was. And I guess I just was that person. I didn't want another rubber chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Chicken. And I don't need another dress. I just want to give. I just want to.
Chicken. That's gonna stick with me for a
I know,
while.
sorry.
Having chicken it's gonna suck now.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah, but it, you know, so that's where it was coming from. You know, I've even walked into places that were kind of they were courting us for a WeMax, and they had gear for us, you know, and I said, like, get that. I don't want one piece of gear because that's money that isn't going to what I want it to go to. That's not going to the kids.
Yeah.
Don't try to make me feel good about my giving. I'll feel good on my own.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need the stroking.
Yeah.
I don't need the water bottle. Take it away.
Yeah.
We just want to do this right.
Yeah.
We want every dollar to go where it's supposed to go.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. How was that for questioning?
How do we do?
How do you feel? I feel like that was pretty.
Well, I was
wasn't
pretty
too bad,
intense.
was it?
That
No, you're good.
we ended on an extremely high note there.
But that's
It's a
just
good
like,
thing I held it
but
together.
once again, right? Leadership we could talk about for hours. WeMax, we can. There's so many more things we could talk about with it, but it's just I really want to make sure that we at least gave Noel a chance to just you know, tell us that in her own words, right? Because you know we can talk as much as we want, but we can't do what you just did there. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's
Not with the same passion.
Yeah, I you know, it's a huge motivator for me.
Mhm.
It's like I say, it's next to my two boys.
Yeah,
it's the thing I'm most proud of.
I think the thing I like most about kind of how you've described all that is just that you've done it on your own terms. You know, like you recognize that you're doing this for just only the best reasons ever, and you're not going to allow anyone to kind of, you know, mold that differently, you know, or change how you see it. Right?
No,
I love that.
It's I'm pretty mama bear.
Yeah, we know that, but I mean, it's awesome to see that, you know, even in the detail you talk about it, right? Like there's so many little points you can see, like the gear or, you know, all these different things that it's clearly not even in your thinking, right? You're like, I don't want anything to do with that stuff. I'm here for the right reasons and only those.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a few board of directors out there, some charities that probably don't want me walking in, you know, necessarily because I want to do it my way. But the ones that we've aligned ourselves with have been such incredible partnerships. I cannot say enough. And, you know, just the public's portion is just use one of my wonderful realtors to buy and sell real estate with. Yeah. And that's your portion. Yeah. And that's, and, you know, they get a beautiful certificate saying thank you. Because this is what you've done. You have bought the NICU unit, new life-saving equipment, the new heart respirator and heart monitors and respirators. You bought that. Yeah. You know, we did this collectively together. So
it's a group effort. Your choices have an impact on your own community.
Yeah, and we've had so much feedback from the community on all aspects of what we've done. And if I may say, there's no real estate company in our area that has ever given even close to $500,000 back to its community. And again, I can't take credit for that because that's all on you guys.
Yeah, and that's just seems to be such a short period of time because you said that started in 2014.
2014 is really when we kicked it off.
So would you have hit the ground running, or wouldn't have picked up momentum until 2015?
So we were introduced it kind of at the tail end. Yeah. So that our launch was
because I came in spring 2016, and I remember it was still kind of new, but it was also very like not just new, but new in the sense of, you know, certificates and all these things were out, and it was always like in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody was talking about it, right?
It was fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fresh.
So, do you want to wrap it up there? Because that's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. I had a couple of other questions, but I think what we'll do.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to be bothering Noel to try to bring her back on at some point in the future if she's open to it. You know,
we would love to have you back because
I would love to come back.
It also makes us better too. you know, even in preparation last night, like you and I have done kind of the off the cuff podcast. We know what we wanted to talk about. We had one of our agents in here the other day, and we were just we hit the record button and we're farting around for 20 minutes. And it was a great conversation. It was funny. We were laughing. We're poking fun at each other. You know, I didn't really have to think too much about doing that in the content. It was just kind of fun to do. Last night, I was sitting down. I'm like, okay, I've got to be organized. I've got to be on time. Don't waste any time. Make sure my questions are on point. Make sure the cameras are right. Make sure everything is going on well. So
I think anytime we can have a talk about leadership, we all benefit.
Yeah.
It's not something that gets talked about enough. It should be in schools. There should be a school program, you know, starting in grade school, talking about leadership and developing the leader that is in everybody. Yeah. Because there is a leader in absolutely everyone.
Yeah. No, so we really, really, really appreciate your time, because we know there's probably 100 other places you could be, but you chose to be with us.
Because I'm effective at my time management, and I made room for this because this is important.
On a Friday afternoon as well. You know, let's make sure the viewers see the commitment here.
Yes, on a Friday afternoon.
You know,
wow.
When my husband's already at the cottage.
There you go. Yeah. Most people have better places to be.
Yeah, the elusive Dave. Noel, the invitation is always open to you.
Thank you.
Please come back and share anything that you want with us, and we're definitely going to have more questions for you.
Okay. And I'd like to finish by saying just how proud I am of both of you. On a professional level, it is an honor to work with you guys every day. And I mean that sincerely. I am intensely proud of the people that you are, the quality of work that you do, and how you have built the reputation of my company. And that means the world to me. So thank you for being outstanding, because you both are so outstanding.
To say to that. No, thank you so much. That's unbelievable. I really appreciate it. And you know, just coming on here, you know, we're still early in the process. You know, everything's not perfect yet, but
here we are.
Just want to really thank you for taking the time to be open and share as in depth as you did, because we're just a couple of schmucks over here without you. You know, so.
we're 3 schmucks today.
I'm gonna try and use my catch line for closing it off with what Noel just said there. I've got nothing else to say, so let's call it a day.
There you go. Get the old drum roll or the.
There we go. Thank you, Noel.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks again.